Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
And remember this, being honest may not get you a lot of friends, but it'll always get you the right ones. Words to live by. Good morning, everybody. And here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America for a Monday, and a beautiful day it is, June 22nd. Good morning, Patriots, with the pledge. And a good morning to you and yours. Up at the ranch on a, like I said, beautiful Monday. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you in safe, clean environment and, of course, the best in tires. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the phone line and have a great start to our week with the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I love your enthusiasm. Thank you for calling in this morning. Thank you.
Have a good morning.
All right. Thank you much. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew over at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Easy to find on the Burley Paul Highway. And they've got all the best of tools and equipment to finish any kind of a job you've got cooking up for this summer. I mean, if you're working on your garden, you're working on your lawn, you're doing a bunch of outside renovation, whatever the case might be, they've got all the water lines, they've got all the rototillers. I'm telling you, they've got it all for long and short-term rental at K&R Rental. And they're, of course, located at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, 678-3122. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It appears that summer finally arrived for this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, mostly sunny skies, a little breeze out of the south-southwest at about 6 miles an hour. We are looking at a high of about 83. Tonight, clear skies, cooling off 53. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 90. Clear and 57 for Tuesday night. By Wednesday, mostly sunny, high of 92. Thursday, slight chance of rain showers in the forecast, partly sunny skies with a high of 83. Then by Friday, sunny skies and 85. That's what your weather forecast for Zeb at the ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you again by K&R Rental. If you're not sure what you need to finish a project before you drive over, you might say, pick up the phone and just call them at 678-3122. They'll give you all the answers and give you all the help. Absolutely, K&R Rental, they provide the best of tools and equipment for you on the Burley Paul Highway, 678-3122. Caller, I will be there in just a second. Stand by. I want to remind everybody about Darrow's Cleaners. Hello, Kevin and Cindy. You know, we've been taking our clothes in there for, I don't even remember how many years. It's probably close to 20 years. And they're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. the best of dry cleaning and the best of taking care of your clothes. They're expensive, man. Those clothes, you put a lot of money into them. Keep them for a long time. Let them take care of the dry cleaning process. And if you don't have time to do your washing of your clothes, they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes that you need at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. One other quick note, and I want to make a personal note after this, and then we'll take that call. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, they've been in business now for almost 7 decades. Getting up there to where they're as old as I am. Anyway, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And from the look at the forecast, emphasis on cooling. So check out those air conditioners. If you need filters, they've got them. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning to you. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Well, good.
Okay.
All right.
Let's get started. As a former employer, over the years, I paid a lot in to unemployment and to FICA for my employees. A lot of people have the misnomer that unemployment is paid by the employee. It is not. It's 100% the employer.
Mm-hmm.
And that FICA that they take out of your check, the employer pays half of that. And so in the end result, when you draw your Social Security, if it were not for your employers, you would only have half as much money.
Okay, so what is your complaint and or simply put gripe this morning?
Well, I've had people come up to me and, you know, even when I was in business and say, I have the right to draw unemployment. I paid into it all these years, and I will inform them then that they did not pay a dime in it. It is paid by the employer.
Okay, well, Keith, I appreciate your statement on that this morning, as always. A great way to start off the week. Oh, and before we go any further, I want to thank you and Nancy and literally all the lunch bunch for your support last Thursday over at Denny's restaurant. We had Denny's just absolutely bent over backwards to help us have a fun time outside in the sun, and it was a lot of fun. They gave away a lot of prizes and everything. But to all the lunch bunchers, I want to say thank you for showing up. I think there was close to 40 people, and for the first time we've gathered since January, and it was a lot of fun.
You know, my highest point of that was I got to talk to Joe Taylor.
There you go.
And a friend of mine for 60 years.
I saw Joe was there. God bless him. I just absolutely appreciate his involvement in the community. Keith, I got another call waiting. I've got to do a commercial. God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I want to tell everybody about Dino's Septic Service. Here it is. We just started summer according to the calendar. And you've noticed that you've got a little bit of problem with your septic tank. You don't want to be standing out there pumping a septic tank, and you don't want to have the problems. Well, I know some people that can take care of it, and the problems go away. Dino's Septic Service, they are the best at what they do. Sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, water and sewer lines installed, backhoe services. I'm telling you, they do it all. Dino's Septic Service. Call them at 436-6526 or 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service. That's absolutely the truth. They do a great job. Dino's Septic Service, serving you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
They hung up.
Well, shame. on that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't hang up. I'll be right with you. I promise. You got to give me a little leeway there, folks. It was wonderful at Lunch Bunch last Thursday. Now, it was a little cool, but look at the days that had preceded that. I mean, holy smokes, the day before I thought, are we going to be able to do this outside? I had no clue the weather would turn around and be really almost nice. And to all the Lunch Bunchers that came down there, thank you so much. And I hope that everybody, all the dads in the audience, had a phenomenal Father's Day yesterday. I did. I hope you did too. Don't forget Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. It is for sale. What do you mean for sale? Lock, stock, and shop. I mean everything. All the equipment inside too. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair is for sale. The number to call, 878-4991. Here is a turnkey business opportunity for you. I'm telling you, Doug will help finance it and also train the buyer. And all you have to do is just give them a call, 878-4991. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn for sale. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Sorry I had to leave the line, but the menu for the senior citizen is barbecued pork today with all of the trimmings. You don't have to be a senior to come and enjoy lunch with us, or you can call and get one to go.
Joe, I want to tell you it was a treat, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to talk to you a little bit more the other day, but it was such a treat to have you be at our Lunch Bunch out in the open air at Denny's. Thank you for coming by.
I enjoyed it.
Well, God bless you, man, and we'll send everybody over to the Senior Center on Overland. Excellent food and nice people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking my call.
You betcha, Joe Taylor. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Very, very nice man. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Folks, you got to ask yourself, and I'm sure many of you have over the weekend, or maybe when you were at church, or maybe with your family gatherings on Father's Day, a topic of conversation. How much more are we the people going to allow to have happen in Seattle and other areas like Portland, etc.? When will this madness end? Don't anybody give me the garbage of, oh, well, they're just protesting. No, they're not just protesting. They have taken over a portion of one of our major cities in the United States. They have turned it into a slum. They have turned it into a horror zone. They have turned it into, now, after this weekend, a killing zone. When will the mayor, Jenny Durkin, get her head out of the sandbox, and along with a so-called governor of that state of Washington, Inslee, two of the absolutely the most biggest fools that have been in politics, when are they going to stop this foolishness? People are getting killed. Business owners cannot go into their business. They're afraid of the anarchy that's going on and the chaos. And homeowners, I saw some of this on the news, and I just couldn't believe it. They're afraid to leave their house. It's not because of the coronavirus. It's because of this idiocy and this lunacy in the streets of Seattle. Friday, a 19-year-old was shot and killed. I believe it was the day after he graduated from high school. Then another person was shot. And when police tried to get into this blocked-off area, they were absolutely met with severe resistance of brick throwing, bottle throwing, rock throwing. And these idiots and nincompoops we're holding the police off and not letting them come in to not only investigate the crime, but to also offer assistance to anyone that might have been wounded. This is America. When are we going to start acting like it? This should never happen. And here's one thing that needs to be said, because there's so many people right here in this Magic Valley area that are duped into thinking Black Lives Matter is such a wonderful organization. They are a Marxist organization that is hell-bent on the destruction of values and our constitutional values in this country. I will not change my remarks in that regard. And to back up and solidify some of the absolute heinous acts of Black Lives Matter, in Ohio, about 8, 9, 10 days ago, when they were having the riots, a bakery, a lady owned a bakery, and I saw her, stand by, caller, I saw her on the news, as a matter of fact, this weekend. And while the burning and the looting and the damaging and the absolute destruction was going on around her business, she and her assistants in this bakery locked themselves in a bathroom, barricaded it, until everything was taken care of, and the police finally came in, and they left the bathroom, and they were unhurt, but her business was completely gone. And in the days ensuing this, she was back there with her attendants and people that worked for her and helping her clean this mess up. And in passing, listen to this carefully, in passing, she was out in front of her store, and somebody walked by her and stopped and leaned towards her and said, "If you're going to rebuild this business, you'd better be real careful about your support for the police, because it might happen again." And that person identified themselves as a Black Lives Matter. Oh, my goodness. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. The Black Lives Matter, they are so hypocritical. Where are they speaking out against all the people killed this weekend in Chicago?
Oh.
How many of them? How many people shot? 99?
Yeah. Doug, I can't fathom why Chicago is what it is. I have been to Chicago numerous times. And, Sean, I got a little bit of feedback here, if you'd help me, please. I've been down there for Cubs games. I've been down there to visit. From where I was born and raised, it's only like 120 miles, and we went down there frequently. And to think that that city has turned into nothing more than chaos and anarchy in certain areas of the south side of Chicago, and willful gang shootings and little children being shot on their way to the store or going to school, it's just unfathomable to me.
It's hard for me to understand. I mean, we're so blessed to live in the area we do, but I could not understand how Black Lives Matter will tear cities apart, even destroy businesses owned by blacks, and claim it's injustice, no peace, no justice, when in Chicago they're killing each other left and right and nobody says a word.
Let me ask you something. When you say Black Lives Matter, isn't that being extremely racist and the promotion of just one grouping of our society? Wouldn't it be a lot better for everybody to come in unison and salute life and pray for life and be a part of life to say all lives matter?
Well, then that would not fit their agenda.
That's right.
And that's all it is. It's their agenda. And this deal in Washington, Seattle, it's going to come to an end when the people of Seattle and the people of Washington get so upset at their failed leadership, that they're going to cry out to President Trump, and then President Trump's going to come in and clean up the mess.
You know, and there again, though, that puts Trump and his administration in a spot called between a rock and a hard spot, because the left will use that as a damning factor against him for trying to lead a Gestapo-type government.
This is true, but when the people of Washington have had enough, then they will speak up.
Yeah.
And when they speak up, then that's when President Trump should answer.
But can you imagine, though, Doug, in our society today, let's take it away from Seattle. Let's put it right here in Rupert, Burley, Twin Falls, wherever. And they take over the city park, and they barricade it, and they will not let police in, and people are shot and laying there bleeding to death, and they throw rocks and bottles and bricks at the police to hold them at bay. What?
Exactly. That's exactly what they want for this country. They want this country to be a lawless country. They want it to go into chaos so they can declare martial law and control everything. I don't know, maybe I'm got the tinfoil hat deal, but they're trying to tear this country down to a third world nation so they can have a one world government.
I can't argue that, because the premise is there. The building blocks are there for this devastation and this horrendous movement. I have no respect for them, and I will not change my verbiage. Doug, I got another call, but give us your little deal about the seniors, because it's very appropriate.
Yes. Everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. They're opening up now. Let's go eat there, and you can leave with a full heart and a full stomach.
Absolutely.
But one thing, Zeb, that I'm not going to stand for is our representatives, our Republicans back there in Washington, D.C., their silence is deafening.
It is, and it's cowardice.
It is.
Absolutely.
No backbone. The only thing they care about is their self and staying in office.
I agree. I'm going to really hit that. If I don't have time today, we're going to hit it tomorrow. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. Caller, I promise I'll be right there. Please bear with me. The thunder of hooves, the thrill of an 8-second ride, and all the fun of PRCA Rodeo is at your fingertips this July 10, 11, and 12 when the Silver State Stampede makes its way to the Elko County Fairgrounds. This PRCA-sanctioned rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders, mini bull riders, Old West bronc riders, mutton busted, and the always popular Ring of Fear. Family Day is going to be on Sunday evening, and Tough Enough to Wear Pink on Saturday. Hey, gates open all 3 days at 4 p.m., and you can dance the night away on Friday and Saturday to the music of the Moonshine Outlaws. They're good. Family entertainment at its best with the 2020 Silver State Stampede. And the Silver State Stampede will be following all of the Nevada governor's directives, Nevada United Roadmap to Recovery Plan, as well as the CDC guidelines. The safety of everyone is their top priority. Caller, before I have a cookie giveaway, I'll take your call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, we've got a wonderful Navy, Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and any one of these services could stop every bit of this garbage. Lives matter. All lives matter. It's not one race. It's not one person. It's everybody. Our military could stop it in no time at all. They need to be called, but they need to be called by the mayor and the governor of the state, not the president of the United States. They'll just tear him down if he does it. I think he's doing a wise thing by staying out of it. It's just terrible that people can get by with this kind of garbage in the United States of America. If you want that, go to Russia, go to Venezuela, go to Cuba, go to some horrible country that lets this kind of crap go on. China. We need to take care of our country. We need to obey our laws. We need to stand by our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. I'll get off the air. Have a wonderful...
Well, I am not going to interrupt you because you were on a roll. And you were absolutely right, Jerry. And everything you said I adhere to. So thank you very, very much. That was well stated. You know, I can't believe there are so many lefties right here in our midst in Magic Valley, and my stance about taking a power surge, if you will, into Seattle and other places to end this nonsense, that aggravates them. Oh no, they're just protesters. No, they're not. They're an evil, sinister, very left-wing group of anarchists that want to see the destruction of our country and our Constitution. And to take over a city and take over an area that infringes on the rights of tax-paying citizens to own a business, operate a business, or to leave their home safely and go for a walk in the park, that is anarchy, and it's got to stop. With force. With force. Caller, bear with me just a minute. I am so far behind right now. Hold on just a second. I want to remind everybody about the 2020 4th of July schedule over at the celebration in Rupert. You better believe it. Rupert's 4th, celebrating Independence Day with the theme Rockin' in the USA with the Grand Marshal Charlie and Lori Creason and the main sponsor PMT. Oh my goodness, they're going to have a customer appreciation luncheon on Monday, June 29th, and then Tuesday morning at 6 at the Square in Rupert, they're going to have that Christmas lighting breakfast, and then every day up through the 4th of July, they've got a lot of fun. Patriotism reigns supreme over at the Rupert 4th of July celebration. Don't you miss it, with the culmination of the huge, really big parade on the 4th of July at 11 a.m. Oh, we're going to tell you more about Rupert's 4th of July celebration. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, this deal of Fox News, I think they're weakening. I think they're leaning the wrong way. I am very disappointed this morning in turning it on and how they portrayed his rally. They seem to be the only network that's really on our side.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa, Keith, wait a minute. You made an accusatory remark. What did they say or do that made you think they were against the rally or not promoting it?
Well, we were talking about the rally wasn't near as big as it was intended to be.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, Keith.
Outside.
Wait a minute, Keith, it wasn't. And there's reasons for that, and they went into that. I was watching since 4 o'clock this morning, and I dare say before you got up. And there were a lot of reasons why they said what they said on Fox, and they were very upset about it this morning with the Fox and Friends show that starts at 4 in the morning, our time, 6 back there, that the social lefties went in and blocked a lot of the entrances so people couldn't get in. And social media applied for a lot of the tickets, and they were all in bulk numbers, and they were all taken up by the left and then not distributed. And see, this was another way social media hurt the Trump campaign and that rally in Tulsa. We're going to be talking about that a little bit with Rick Manning after 9 o'clock. They weren't demonizing the rally and saying that it was small, but the left came in and virtually took away thousands of people that had a right to be there.
You know, I'm so glad that you made that clear, because you have changed my other mind.
Well, I don't mean to say that in a negative fashion to you, but they were very upset about how the rally had been taken apart by the left. Protesters were blocking the entranceway, and they wouldn't let people in. And then social media, they absolutely bought or applied for a bulk amount of the tickets, and you noticed right behind Trump that tier was open. And they did that on purpose because that was where the TV cameras were going to be looking at Donald Trump. So they applied for that, and they held those block tickets at bay so that other people couldn't get them.
Well, I'm glad they did put it on early, but I don't start watching Fox until 7 o'clock.
Well, I'll call you at 4 from now on.
pointed the wrong way.
No, I'll call you at 4 a.m. from now on so you get the whole story.
Well, then I would be taking over your show.
Okay.
I don't want to do that.
Hey, I'm late. I got to run. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. We've got to give away some cookies. I am so doggone late. I apologize. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. What a great, delicious bakery, and what a great, delicious restaurant. Oh, you got to get over there. You're going to get your money's worth, I guarantee you, at Sophie's Chatterbox. Wonderful, wonderful, delicious food. And if you want to win a dozen cookies right now, here's how you do it. From Sophie's Chatterbox, give me the answer to this. Now, this is an easy one. We're going to start having easy things going on this morning. On the television show, The Real McCoys, remember that show back in the 60s, The Real McCoys? Who were the four main characters of that show? There were four main characters that most of the writing centered around. What were the character names on that show? Please give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. On the TV show The Real McCoys, who were the four main characters in that show? Give me a call quickly, because I need to give these cookies away like on a ASAP basis, because we got a lot of business to take care of here this morning. Who were the four main characters on that show, The Real McCoys? And you could win the cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. If you like sugar cookies, you may have to share one or two with me. So anyhow, give us a call and let us know, please. Speaking of sugar cookies, Nancy, if you're listening, good. Thank you. All right, come on, somebody give me a call. The Real McCoys, who are the four main characters on that show, please? While I'm waiting for your call to come in, I also want to remind you about Barry Equipment and Rental. And, of course, they've got all the big equipment for the lifting and the digging and the pushing and the carrying and the leveling and all that. Oh, I'll tell you what. And if you're not sure how to run it, they'll teach you. They got a big sandbox out behind the business, and they'll take you in there with the equipment, turn you loose, I'll tell you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location with all the Bobcats, all the shapes and sizes, all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, all the scissor lifts and the trenchers. Oh, yeah, they got what you need at Barry Equipment and Rental. In Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa, you get a hold of those great folks today. Come on, quickly answer the question and win some. You mean you don't want to win some cookies? These are delicious cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. Who were the four main characters? Give me the character names. You don't have to give me the actor name. That's too hard. But give me the character names on the show. Who were they, the four main characters of the television show that was a hit from quite a few years on TV, The Real McCoys? Who were they? Okay? Centered around a family. And here comes the call. Let's see what we got here. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. You had Grandpa Amos McCoy, and then you had Luke, Kate, and Little Luke.
Who is this?
Galen Smyer.
Well, you are the trivia captain of the world today, by golly, Smalin. Mr. Smyer, Smalin. Galen Smilin. Hey, listen.
I remember that little tune in my head, Grandpa Amos, the girls and the boys, and, something all about the Real McCoys. And so, but I did have to Google it. I've got to be completely honest with you. So,
Galen, let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you a question real quick about television shows back in the 60s, whether it was The Real McCoys or whether it was Father Knows Best or whether it was the Donna Reed show or whatever. There was a wholesomeness involved in those shows to where good and family values were always prevalent. What did you think about this change to what we've got on television now, which is garbage?
Well, yeah, there's really no comparison. We've incrementally moved from that period of wholesomeness that you're talking about to something that's considerably less, and
that's unfortunate because it portrays values that I think are not as widespread as the media and Hollywood would have you believe.
Absolutely. Miss having you call in more often. Galen Smyer, a good friend of this program, and he was right. It was Grandpa Amos, Big Luke, Little Luke, and Kate, the real McCoys. God bless you, man. Get your cookies. Call over to Sophie's and let them know.
Okay, take care.
All right, thank you.
Have a great week.
You know, that's right. It was, I remember most of the stories centered around Grandpa Amos that was played so well by character actor Walter Brennan. And Walter goes back, I don't know if you knew this or not, I'm sure many of you did. Walter goes back to a lot, and I mean he appeared in a lot of John Wayne Westerns. Yeah. And one of the portrayals that he had was as the cook on the John Wayne movie Red River. I don't know if you remember that or not. And did a heck of a job. And he was on many, many, many other movies, Western movies. And Walter Brennan, sorely missed in the acting field. Boy, he was quite a character. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. More statues are being destroyed. More statues, because somebody doesn't like them, are being tipped over, toppled, and crushed and smashed. More of our history is laying in the dirt. Even statues of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. Now they want to take down Teddy Roosevelt. Our history of the United States of America is not perfect. Oh, gee, there's a news bulletin. Our history is not perfect. But as we progressed as a nation, from whatever your thoughts and perceptions of being not perfect are, we have turned this country in the last 250 years into the best country ever on the face of the earth. But if you go back and just basically whitewash, destroy, and obliterate our history and the people that helped form our history, good, bad, or ugly, you've lost something that you possibly will make the same mistakes in the future. I mean, George Washington, the father of our country, first president. Thomas Jefferson with the Constitution. All of this. I mean, it's just absolutely sickening to me that we're letting these people, these low-life people, destroy America and its history. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, a good example of that is the Holocaust. I seen they had a woman on TV the other day that she was 102 years old and she had family that was sent to the gas chamber. Now, when people like her are gone, they can rewrite this history, and who's going to defend it?
Yeah. I am so afraid of these rewrites and obliteration of our historical events. You don't do anything by trying to whitewash the past and change it the way you want to. All you do is destroy the building blocks that have helped make this country or any country great. And when sad, sick events take place like the Holocaust, we must remember. We must have the videos. We must have the still footage. We must have everything to remind us how heinous mankind can be.
You know, I'd like to add a little more to that. This new school that they just built on Washington, or no, I can't remember what street that is, but it's named after our former Governor Evans. I knew him personally, and he was a great man, and he was a good governor. Now, I would hate to have him change the name of that just because a few people did not like him.
Well, where do you draw the line? I mean, George Washington and some of their idiotic, and they are idiots and fools, are saying, well, yeah, but at that time he had slaves. At that time, 250 years ago, Keith, almost everyone was involved in slavery, whether they were a North, South, Republican, Democrat, whatever. That was, and I hate to say this because I'll take a lot of heat over it, but look at your history books. Unfortunately, it was an accepted practice at that time until finally cooler heads and smarter thinking about equality finally prevailed. But you can't go back and throw the baby out with the bathwater 250 years ago and say, oh, they were evil and sinister when it was an accepted practice at that time.
There were several black people that were brokers, you might say.
That's right.
For getting them slaves over here.
That's right. The lunacy of criticism of what happened in the past, you can't rewrite the past. And when you try to diminish the past and pretend it didn't happen or wish that it would go away forever, it's going to come back and repeat itself. Keith, I got to go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I hope Idaho has more courage than that.
I sometimes wonder. Thank you very much. Hey, I want to go to the weather forecast quickly, and the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids and the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup and her staff. I think simply put, they know all about hearing. She is just a genius when it comes to hearing problems and the getting into hearing impairments and understanding what needs to be done. She really knows sound and hearing. I urge you to give them a call, 312-0957. They're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It appears that summer finally arrived for this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, mostly sunny skies, a little breeze out of the south-southwest at about 6 miles an hour. We are looking at a high of about 83. Tonight, clear skies, cooling off 53. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 90. Clear and 57 for Tuesday night. By Wednesday, mostly sunny, high of 92. Thursday, slight chance of rain showers in the forecast, partly sunny skies with a high of 83. Then by Friday, sunny skies and 85. That's what's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
Thank you, Gina. Brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, always providing expert diagnostic testing combined with the best technology to help your hearing health. Call for an appointment today, 312-0957. I do not understand, and please, somebody help me. Let's just say that there is, and you know there are around the area, some figurines and some sculptors that have made various things. Supposing we just decided, well, that's not good, we're going to throw them away and we're going to break them and we're going to banish them and smash them. Wouldn't we be arrested for vandalism and property damage? Sure, and we should be. We should be. Whether it's Twin Falls County or Minidoka County, Cassia County, doesn't make any difference. When you resort to smashing, breaking, and destroying something in an act of vandalism, you should be arrested and have to pay the restitution. These people are getting off scot-free. They show them on television with ropes on the statues, whether it's and a lot of people have the misconception, and this just frosts my cookies, that General Robert E. Lee, they always say, oh, he was a part of the South and the Confederacy, and we've got to get rid of that. He was one of the most important players after the Civil War, employed by the United States government to help bring the nation back together again as a healer, as maybe somebody to say, look, let's all pull together. Let's get one harness and try to pull the wagon. And yet, these kooks that don't understand anything about history, they damn and condemn him. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Deb. You just brought up a good point that I've been thinking for a long time. We don't teach history in school anymore, so how are these people supposed to know it?
Amen.
I guess they could pick up a book on their own, but how many of them are going to be motivated to pick up the book on their own, and how many are going to know what to look for? These people doing a lot of this are younger, and they have no clue about history because you know what? The social open schooling, I guess you could say, is to the point where they don't teach true history or all of history. It's a, I guess, secondary, I guess you could say.
Well, your point is so well taken, Riley. Some of the statues they've torn down and smashed and everything, actually, after checking it out after the fact, they were statues of people that were against slavery in the first place, and they took them down and smashed them. I mean, these people are fools.
Yeah, they are. And it goes back to who wanted to fight for slavery? Who wanted segregation? Who fought for segregation? Who were the ones who fought for division to begin with? What side was it? Who was it?
And
they lump all the white people.
Yeah.
And that's not the fact of the matter.
You know, Riley, we're living in times right now, and you're quite a bit younger than I am, but with your age difference, you are wise beyond your years. I just wish a lot of these kooks, crackpots, and fools that are involved in the destruction and the burning and the looting of America right now could just sit down and have a real come-upsmanship, if you will, to where they would start to understand really what's going on.
Well, they're not going to because they're right and you're wrong, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality. I was raised in a very good home with very, very good parents and very good family members around me. And everybody I know that I grew up with we were raised with the reality of what is real and what is not. We weren't raised in an apartment building somewhere cooped up with a TV to keep us entertained. We had the outside world. We understood what happened. We were talked to. We were taught.
Yep.
We were taught to respect other people, respect God, and respect our country and the ground. I mean, we were taught to respect. These other people, they have no respect for anybody.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Riley, always good to hear from you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead quickly, please.
The ironic thing is, Zeb, that the Democrats are taking down statues of Democrats who was for slavery.
Yeah.
I mean, here they're calling their own party racist for having slaves when they are part of that party.
Yeah. But Doug,
I mean, just
do you want to live in a society? Think about this real quick and give me an answer. I'm a history nut. I love all things about history, especially back in the early Southwest, all of that. Do you want to live in a society where all of a sudden we turn the whitewashing of our history over to a bunch of kooks, crackpots, and fools, and all of the items like maybe the Battle of the Alamo, or maybe then the recurring battle a couple of weeks later, the Battle of San Jacinto, all of this for the birth of Texas as a state. All of this, you want it just absolutely whitewashed and taken away so that nobody can understand it?
Well, then you're going to repeat it.
Yep.
I mean, you learn from your mistakes. There was only one human being that walked this earth that did not make a mistake, and they crucified him.
That's right.
And we live in a country where we're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to try something and fail and try something other. And, keep failing until you find something that you can win at.
Wouldn't it be great to sit underneath the statue of George Washington and say from both sides, well, George was involved in slavery and he did this and he did that. But also, without his assistance, then the other side says, his assistance and his absolute perception of leadership, he helped this country formulate and go on to defeat the British, etc. There's pros and cons, and everything can be discussed in a adult fashion about our history. You don't have to let the crackpots and the fools destroy it.
And that's just it. The crackpots and the fools do not know the true history.
Amen.
They're not taught the true history, and they are not ambitious enough to look up and learn for themselves what actually happened.
But the day is coming, my friend, and you know this is true. when it's not going to be just, well, it happened in Philadelphia, or maybe it happened in Washington, D.C., or maybe someplace in Indiana. It's going to happen right in our backyard, and it's about time that we start standing up.
Exactly. But look at the places where it's happening right now.
Yeah.
All the dissent, all the destruction, all of everything going on. And then ask yourself, who controls that area? What
You got
party?
it.
And how long have they controlled that area?
You got it. Doug, thank you again. I appreciate your call. I got to run. I'm close to the news. Thank you very much. I want to remind everybody we had a wonderful time at Denny's restaurant last week on Thursday. Thomas and Michelle, they just absolutely went overboard to be kind, considerate, and just have a great time for our lunch bunch. God bless them. And it was fun, and boy, they're back open with the best of food, great menu choices, and a staff serving you. Wonderful, wonderful people at 611 North Overland in Burley. America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Stop in. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all the desserts, anytime, all the time at Denny's Restaurant. You're going to be thanking yourself for treating yourself to Denny's Restaurant. We're going to take a little break right now, and for about 7 minutes, turn it over to CBS. I'll be back with more in just a moment. Good for the Trump administration. Good for the girls. Absolutely. Welcome to Zev at the Ranch and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires for you. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Now, if I could please have the good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Well, I tell you what, they are always at your disposal. I know a lot of graduation parties, and of course, you've got company picnics. We got to live, folks. We got to get out and enjoy ourselves. Well, all of that, and we have garbage. Well, they're there to serve you with the route service at your home once a week, or if you need dumpsters, whatever, you get a hold of them today. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. 734-6969. Want to urge you to remember, too, our friends over to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell and, of course, his entire staff. Wow. I mean, they are so knowledgeable and they are so good at getting you back to being you. That's right. Number to call for an appointment, 678-1191. They're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with all the absolute great physical therapists there, headed up by Nick Greenwell. And don't forget, too, Nick also owns Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley, caring for your fit self. You be sure and check it out today, Elite Fitness in Burley, along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. A quick note, too, that I want to say a big thank you to Joel Heward and his family and staff. You know, it goes without saying that when there's the passing of a loved one, it's absolutely one of the most tumultuous times anybody or any family could go through. And I urge you to remember Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Joel Heward, family and staff serving you, and they know how to serve you and your family with the best possible support and comfort. Always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Mondays are a very special day for me because I get a chance to talk to a very good friend that tells it like it is, and that is, of course, the president of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. Rick Manning, my buddy, how are you?
You know, I'm having a great time. I'm in the process of moving my office, and, that is not something you ever really want to do. It's a great time. So, I've got, there's a saying from Grassroots that if there's a dog fight in the street, you look out the window, but you really don't get involved. And if there's a dog fight on your front porch, you might look out your door window, but you really don't get involved. When the dog fight's in your lap, you have to get involved. And I think that saying is pretty appropriate for a lot of things we're experiencing right now. But in my immediate life, moving my office to another location is a dog fight in my lap, and unfortunately, it's deterring a lot of my thinking. But apart from that, let's talk about stuff that's going on around the world, the dog fight that's in our country's lap.
Well, I'm so glad that was quite a nice segue, too, by the way, because I could never move this office. It would be better to just strike a match. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you know what? That was actually... It actually costs more money to give the furniture away than it does to move it and store it.
That's right.
So it's an interesting. We have an interesting world where to give away actually real good furniture is apparently more expensive than to move it and stick it in an office. So.
No more.
And the landlord kind of wants the office empty. They don't really appreciate if you leave all your junk behind. So, all in all, it's a good time.
All right, well...
we've got the world on fire, so let's talk about the world on fire.
Okay, Rick, let me kind of give a real quick synopsis on this, and then tell me, what are we going to do? I mean, we're looking at foolish anarchy being allowed to occur in Seattle with the land called CHOP, and now it's taken on a much sinister appraisal with the shooting and killing of one man and the shooting in critical condition of another, and the police told to go away as the group inside throws bottles, bricks, and everything else at them. We can't let this go on. And I don't remember any time in my 72 years of being allowed to live on this great planet that I've ever seen anarchy and chaos take over and lawful and law-respecting people are running away.
Well, it's the challenge is that law enforcement is really supposed to be done at the local level. And, and if the local level is overwhelmed, then it's supposed to be done at the state level. And because of that, and because of the complicity of the Seattle mayor, who was voted in by the people, and the governor of Washington, Jay Inslee, we are, there isn't actions that are being taken to protect American citizens on American soil who are trapped in what can only be described as a communist hell. They're creating their own little gulag, and if people don't comply, if people don't fork up the money, they're completely at the mercy of the thugs who've taken over. And while it's an interesting study for us to do to say we can't allow this to happen anywhere else, we have American citizens living in that environment, and they are. Well, many of them may actually support the Antifa people. There's enough video of guys whose their cars have been. There's a video that we saw last week of somebody whose vehicle was busted up, and they stole everything out of his vehicle. And he was ranting and raving and cussing. And somebody responded to him and said, they probably need it more than you. And isn't that the spirit that we're living in? That if somebody needs something, they just can take it.
Oh my!
And and you should just suck it up and just understand that you're sharing with the people who really need it. It's like it's the most. They have absolutely, completely gone insane. And the question is, what do we do about it? The answer is. The governor of Washington needs to have so much pressure on him from everywhere else in the state that he is compelled to do something about it. And the state and the federal government should just tell the governor, we're not providing you any more money to Seattle, to King County, or to the state of Washington related to law enforcement until you start enforcing the law. And I know the Supreme Court said that in the decision on sanctuary cities that may or may not be legal, but I would tell the Supreme Court, guys, you can say whatever you want to say. We have an insurrection, and we're going to put it, and we're going to deal with it. And the first way we're going to deal with it is under federalism. Is we're going to tell them they have to do their job in terms of keeping civilization intact in their own jurisdictions. And if they refuse to do so, we're not going to send them taxpayer dollars.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a comment. Caller, I'm going to ask you to make it short and brief. I'm limited on time. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Well, I took an oath when I joined the U.S. Army, along with a lot of my other brethren in arms. That oath is to protect this country and its citizens, this great nation, from threats, both domestic and foreign, and loosely speaking. We're chomping at the bit to take back our country. We don't want a civil war. We don't want a fight. We don't want a war of any kind. But we're tired of seeing the people that we were sworn to protect hurt and injured because they're holding us back, and it is very frustrating. I want something done.
Thank you, caller. Respond to the caller, please, Rick, if you would.
I think he's voicing the opinion of the vast majority of people who not just in this Seattle situation, but watching local authorities allowing roving bands of idiots idiots is too nice. These people are trained insurrectionists who are attempting to destroy and dismantle America. And we're watching them tear down statues. We're seeing even the mayor of New York taking down a statue of Teddy Roosevelt, of all people.
Yeah.
That's been in front of the Museum of Natural History, or Natural American History there in New York. And so we have a wholesale assault on not only on our culture, on our history, and our DNA, and the attempt to fundamentally transform our nation. And the challenge on this is where they get away with it, is where they have complicit local governments and a complicit state government. They're not getting away with it. They didn't get away with this in Coeur d'Alene when they tried to come across the river and go to Coeur d'Alene. They got met and sent back home. But you go across the river in Spokane, and it's a different environment because you got a different governor. And it's the challenge is, the fundamental challenge is we allowed, way back when they did sanctuary cities and said we're not enforcing federal law, effectively when a state says they're not enforcing federal law, they've seceded. And we allowed this legal secession to exist, and the Supreme Court just rubber-stamped legal secession on sanctuary cities. And if you allow for states and state and local governments to decide what federal laws they're going to enforce, what federal laws they're not going to enforce, there are no federal. At that point, there's no federal laws at all. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court, in their almost unbelievable stupidity, in a decision that's going to go down right alongside the Dred Scott decision as being one of the most dangerous decisions in the history of our country, the Supreme Court effectively left intact the ability of state and local governments to opt out of federal law. And in doing so, those state and local governments have effectively opted out of the country. And it's really hard to come to a legal solution here.
Yeah, absolutely. We have another call with a comment. Go ahead, caller, quickly, please.
Yeah, here's the thing about New York City, the kind of people that are running New York. They'll tear down or allow to be torn down statues of our founding fathers, and they built a tribute to the pagan god Moloch.
Correct. That's exactly right. If you want to tear down statues, tear down that statue. Tear down the statue of Lenin that exists in Washington State.
Absolutely.
You want to target statues of actual real dictators who murdered real people, or are statues that are worshiping Satan. That is if you want to actually tear down statues, do that. You learn a lot about the people by whom they want to put a statue up of. and who they're afraid of. And people who are afraid of George Washington and the American flag are in fact not really have said, I don't want to be part of America. And as such, the question is, should they be compelled to be part of America, or or given a free pass to move anywhere else around the world and to get out of America, or are they going to effectively wipe America off the face of the earth? And there's a lot of countries, China foremost amongst them, who are working really hard for them to win in terms of wiping America off the face of the earth. And I would say that the Googles, Facebooks, Twitters of the world, or everybody, and TikTok for that matter, every bit are complicit in that, and in fact, maybe more than complicit, maybe actually aiding and abetting. So, guess what? We're seeing the fruits of the 60s generation educating the children. Mm-hmm. The people who were on the streets in Chicago had spent the last 40 years educating our children, and we now have the fruits of that, where there's no absolute truth. God is evil, and Satan is king, or no God exists. And we have people who hate America because they've been taught from the kindergarten on to hate America. And once again, this is a recurring theme. The people in Idaho need to tell your governor that you want your education system back, to throw away, if they can walk away from, if Seattle can walk away from the laws of the land, then Idaho can tell them to cram Common Core and say, we're not doing it, we're teaching people fundamentals again, and we're teaching them critical thinking, and they're going to read Western literature, and they're going to actually become familiar with why we have freedom and what the alternatives are. So when they and then they're going to go to colleges where, if you're going to take an English literature class, you're going to get English literature. If you become a major in literature, you're going to have to know English literature inside and out, because it is, in fact, the foundation for everything. And at that point, if people are still stupid, then they're still stupid. But I think if we went back, we did a classical education in our schools and did that in our universities, we'd solve the problem in 20 years, and it's up to us to survive and hang on for those 20 years, because the generation that's been educated in the current system is, maybe some of them will learn, but right now we're in a perilous place, and so people in Idaho, fix your own education system. It's
That's right.
A local thing.
That's right.
State legislators do this. Demand your governor does it, and if they're not willing to, change them.
I'm going to take just a second to set this up in kind of a question for you to answer in the time remaining. But with the people in Seattle that have had their rights taken away as taxpayers and citizens and business owners and property owners because they're afraid to step out of their house, they're afraid to open up their business, they're being told they have to pay a protection fee, the filth and the slovenly attitude of what's going on in their neighborhood, and they are told they have to accept this anarchy and this absolute foolishness. If the government won't protect them, and they take it upon themselves as citizens of this country to protect themselves, we're going to be looking at a Wild West Dodge City all over again. And to be honest with you, Rick, I'm not opposed to that, because we, the people of the Constitution in this country, have got to start restoring the laws and the value system in this country. And if a few heads have to get a little bloody nose, I think it's about time.
There's a reason why the guy who ended up becoming the leader of this supposed egalitarian thing was the guy who had the gun. Okay? It's a story as old as time. Mao said, all power comes from the barrel of the gun. And if you don't believe in God, you only believe in the here and now, then he's absolutely right. Power isn't about ideas. Power isn't about anything but the ability to enforce your will on others. And at some point, this is a challenge in an environment where people don't get spanked when they're kids. You can blame Benjamin Spock for this when you go back in time. But when people don't get spanked as a kid, they never learn that you have to respect authority. And so when they get to be adults, they don't have they throw a temper tantrum, and they don't expect anything other than acquiescence. And so it becomes a big shock to these people when there is an acquiescence. It's why they're trying to disband the police, because the police represent the parent authority in society. And while there are abuses, very rare, but there are abuses, it is the police as a whole are there to prevent, to enforce the rules of society, to allow us to live in a civil society. And when people reject that, what they get is anarchy. And I've said this before on your air. They want anarchy. The people at the top want anarchy, because anarchy always leads to a strong man. And so you want to eliminate any pretense of representative democracy, create anarchy. People want a strong man, and suddenly you get somebody who doesn't care about representative democracy. They're going to be enforcing their will, and they'll be enforcing their will by rolling tanks. That is where they want to go, because they believe they'll be holding the keys to the castle as opposed to somebody else. And as a result, they think this is the way to run over their opponents so they can't beat at the ballot box.
Let me just sum up by asking you this, and I've only got 2 minutes left. But is this movement and what's happening right now as we speak in Seattle and other places, is this, for lack of better terminology, stoppable, or what's going to happen?
I don't know the answer to that. I know that in the spate of the last 3 weeks, corporate America has given them about $1 billion. That all went to Black Lives Matter, which the Czech government has called a fascist enterprise. I don't know. They are well funded. They control all the communications vehicles. Normally the first thing in the insurrection is you take over the radio station in a third world country. Well, here they control the radio station. They control the broadcast mediums. They control the internet mediums, the social media. So they control the communications vehicles. So is it stoppable? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I hope it is. I pray it is. If you're praying people, you need to be praying, because this is something that we had 55% of the people, of college-educated people in a poll, and I don't necessarily believe polls, but supposedly 55% of people went to college think the riots were appropriate. If that's true, heck, I don't know. I can't imagine that to be true, but that's crazy.
Absolutely. Caller, I'm only going to give you 30 seconds. That's all I've got left. Real fast, go.
Yeah, I think that stop rule, you get about 500 people like us who work our butts off for a living every day, give us some 30-06s and 12 gauges, we'll go in there and clean it up.
All right, caller, thank you very much. I hope it never resorts to that, but there's got to be some kind of a stoppage of this foolishness. Rick, God bless you for coming on the program again. I wish I had more time. I really do, because you have a common sense approach.
I'm talking about my stupid move, but it's a lot of times we talk top of mind as friends, and that I think everybody can relate to the challenges and the uproar in your own office when you're doing stuff like that. So,
well, do like I did.
I really appreciate your time, Zeb.
Rick, do like I did. I'll just quickly inject this. I have a big bay window in the backside of my office, and I put the dumpster outside and below that window, and it was kind of fun to just pitch and throw.
Well, I'm hoping that next Monday, when I have moved, and I'll be in a jumbled office on the other side of the move, we'll have some more pleasant things to talk about, maybe even Major League Baseball will come to agreement.
Amen.
They're going to play. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some return to normalcy somewhere in our society.
Amen. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. The President of Americans for Limited Government, a friend, Rick Manning, thank you so much. Right now, I've got to pay some bills, and I'm going to ask Sean over at the main studio. Do we have the Silver State Stampede ready, Sean?
Yes.
All right. Could I please hear that? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Nevada's oldest rodeo, the Silver State Stampede, roars into the Elko County Fairgrounds July 10, 11, and 12. This PRCA-sanctioned rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head in one of the world's toughest sports, rodeo. The action kicks off Friday evening with a delicious tri-tip dinner for just $10. Old West bronc riding, mutton busting, PRCA rodeo action, and the always popular Ring of Fear. Dance the night away to the music of the Moonshine Outlaws, and on Saturday, show your support with Tough Enough to Wear paint. Round out the weekend with Family Day Sunday evening, the best family entertainment this side of the Rio Grande, the Silver State Stampede, July 10, 11, and 12 at the Elko County Fairgrounds. The Silver State Stampede will be following all of the Nevada governor's directives, Nevada United Roadmap to Recovery Plan, as well as the CDC guidelines. The safety of everyone is our top priority.
Thank you very much. And I'm running a few seconds behind here. A few seconds, nothing, a couple of minutes. Stand by. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, the best of delicious food. What a menu choice. Deanne loves those strawberry crepes. You got to try those. Great breakfast, lunch, and dinner choices. And, of course, all the beautiful, wonderful, delectable desserts. All of this at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Stop in today. Great people serving you at Denny's Restaurant. Yep, it's true. America's Diner. Want to also remind you, too, about our friends at Let's Ride. Oh, get out and enjoy. With the weather forecast for this week, if you don't have a four-wheeler or a side-by-side, get over to Let's Ride at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World and check them out. And then head for the trails up in the mountains. I'm telling you, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 2, and they are there to serve you, along with all the side-by-sides and all the four-wheelers and, of course, all the accessories. Great service department to keep you running. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. It's true. This is where the fun is sold at Let's Ride. Another reminder, too, of some great folks over in that area, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits for you, your family, and your business. They are devoted. Todd and the crew really are devoted to your needs, and all you have to do is call them. Make an appointment at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Dedicated to your health and, of course, everything that surrounds you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. And a quick note. Well, I'm not going to do that right now. I've kept him waiting long enough. We're going to go right to the phone line. And we've had this gentleman on before. I love his attitude. I love his approach to various subjects. And he's got a book called If Masculinity is Toxic, Call Jesus Radioactive. Doug Giles, how are you, my friend? Doug, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, we had a little problem with the phone line there for a second. Author of the book, If Masculinity is Toxic, Call Jesus Radioactive. Boy, I want to hear more about this book. Tell us about it.
Yes, so I love watching the left tell us how Jesus would operate and how he would be politically correct and so tolerant of lies, hype, and spin and insanity and all this kind of stuff that just absolutely insults a reasonable person's reason. And it got to egregious, twaddle levels once Trump got elected. And so I wrote a bestseller in 2016 called Pussification, the Effeminization of the American Male. And within that book, Zeb, I did a brief exposition of the overt masculine traits of Jesus through the book of Matthew. And that chapter, and this book wasn't, written to the brethren. It was, for the unwashed masses to try to digest. But that chapter about the overt masculine traits of Christ garnered more unsolicited feedback, positive feedback, than all the chapters in that book. And that book's loaded with some hilarious gold.
So I fleshed it out more in If Masculinity is Toxic, called Jesus Radioactive. And I got to tell you, Zeb, I've read the Bible many times. I would give the New Testament, the book of Matthew in particular, to somebody who didn't know diddly squat about Christ or his nature or character. And I guarantee, just with a cursory glance, they would walk away seeing Jesus as a barrel-chested freedom fighter who is an apocalyptic warrior who cast out demons, healed the sick, and raised the dead, and he would rebuke bad politicians and priests to their face, and oftentimes in public, making it very embarrassing. And they wouldn't come away thinking that he's this 30-year-old do-gooder, cardigan sporting Mr. Rogers hippie who wears Birkenstocks and walks around in a taupe peignoir.
Let me ask you, I totally agree with everything you said. And I don't care if it's Matthew or if it's any part of the New Testament. I've never, ever come away with the thought that Jesus was a wussy. Never. I mean, you talk about strength. You talk about willpower. You talk about overcoming all the problems and dying for the masses of the world on a cross. I mean, there was a man that can be looked up to as the toughness of all ages, and yet he's described as a wussy, and I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at I did a short film. I don't know if you know this or not, but I did a short film called Biblical Badasses, a raw look at Christianity and art. If you look how Christ is depicted in artwork, from the pre-Renaissance up to our Precious Moments figurine collection, again, he looks like a bearded woman. He's sad, he's forlorn, he's got, no chin, he's always weepy, or he's holding a lamb. Folks, this guy lived a rough and tumble life. He was a carpenter before there were power tools and Home Depot. If you wanted some lumber, then guess what? You climb your butt up that mountain and you cut that tree down, and then you shape it yourself. And to me, the thing that this is absolutely mesmerizing is, number one, you cannot pinpoint him. You can't nail him down on how he's going to react, because you don't know. He's a loose cannon, man. And I know a lot of people think, well, what would Jesus do? It's like, I don't know. I know one time a guy was blind and he spit in mud, or he spit in the dirt and he made mud and then spackled his eyes with it. I don't see that taught in Sunday school. If you want to, help somebody who's got a malady. Again, the Pharisees, they would invite him to dinner, thinking, this is an interesting young rabbi. And the next thing you know, he's ticking every one of them off. And then when he sees, the temple turned into a flea market, oh my God, he tossed the whole temple. He whipped people, flipped over their tables, chased them out, running and screaming for their lives, all the while the young people are screaming his praises and singing Hosanna. You cannot, that's what makes Christ, to me, very appealing, and typical boring evangelicalism and Catholicism, it makes it appalling to me, because it has jack squat to do with that 30-year-old rebel who kicked up dust on the mean streets of Galilee. For sure, Zeb.
Well, in what right and under what premise does the left mostly have in coming out and saying, well, see, you Christians, you've got it all wrong. Jesus would be a socialist. He'd be against capitalism. What right do these absolute bigots have to say that?
None. They twist the scripture. And, what I've noticed about Christ is that, man, when you try to fit him into your stupid political mold, and I'm a conservative with, very libertarian leanings and stuff. He doesn't fit in my mold. He is a mold shatterer. I mean, like the parable of the Good Samaritan. First of all, Samaritans were not good. Jews regarded them as dogs. And Christ offended, the conservative religious crowd by showing, it's not the Levite or the priest that helped the person that was beat up and left on the side of the road. It was a good Samaritan. And it was, again, that's scandalous to a conservative, religious person back then. because, like I said, they were lower than a four-legged, crotch-sniffing, vomit-eating dog. And so he would go after the right and the left if they were self-righteous and wrong on issues. In regards to the left adopting, biblical speech, I think one of the most hilarious preacher during the 2016 Democratic primaries was Pete Buttigieg, and how that guy would just he would dance around all those scriptures like "Don't judge" and "Love your neighbor" and all these other things. And to me, he never quoted Romans chapter 1.
There you go.
Homosexuality being a sin.
Yes. Absolutely.
Completely out of the his dialogue in those debates.
Let me kind of tie this in a little bit, if I can, Doug, as to what's going on across the country with the Black Lives Matter, a very sinister Marxist group that has taken over the minds and the hearts of a lot of young people to where they very foolishly are joining in. Let's take it to Seattle. Let's take it to Portland. Let's take it to all the looting and burning in New York, etc. Boy, I tell you what, I'd really like to see Jesus come back right now and handle this situation. I don't think they'd look at it as a wussified individual.
Yeah, and with the book coming out and coinciding with the scandemic COVID plague, and I don't think Jesus would wear a mask either, and I don't think Jesus would social distance himself from sick people because he laid hands on lepers, and that's definitely a contagion. And but you see, all the Christians, it's like, well, the governor and the mayor said we can't meet. It's like, well, God didn't say you couldn't meet. Well, the governor and the mayor says that we need to, stand 6 feet apart and skip pews at church. And to me, it's like, well, the gospel never said that. And like, well, you've got to be smart. It's like, no, you got to be obedient, to what the Word of God says. And if you think the Word of God is not prophetic and prescient and foreseeing that there could be a bad cold 2,000 years after the after the Gospels were written, then you're definitely not the coldest beer in the fridge. In regards to the riot stuff, here's obviously, the Black Lives Matter Marxist revolution is anti-Christian, anti-American, and it is full-on, full-blown racism, period. However, Christ, again, when he sees egregious twaddle like the death of George Floyd, I could easily, after studying Matthew deeply, I could easily see him raising hell over that. Yeah, absolutely. Now, would he riot? No. But like with the temple, when he saw the temple being misused, it's supposed to be a house of prayer, and they turned it into a place of merchandise. He was full on a vandal, twice in the book of John and once in the book of Matthew. He turned it over. He turned over money tables. He scattered those people with a whip. He cleared the punks from the place, but he didn't make a living out of it. He didn't have a nonstop aggrieved campaign. He didn't go from city to city tossing temples. It was, once, twice, and that was it. Point, was made. So, yeah, would he dust up? Absolutely. But would he do it like, these fools are? Absolutely not. And I think that's a good kind of halfway point with people who see this kind of BS and see, what Derek Chauvin did to George Floyd, kneeling on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Pure, from my perspective, from what I've seen without any other kind of evidence or video, that is murder, period.
Absolutely.
So people being pissed off about that. I wish Zeb, that people would get equally furious over the 12 people that were murdered in Chicago on Father's Day.
Absolutely.
And the other ones that were shot, 3-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-old girls, just liquidated by black people, black people killing black people.
Absolutely.
All lives matter to me, man, and I think Muhammad Ali's son said it best about Black Lives Matter. He said it's a terrorist group that should be akin to Al-Qaeda for what they're doing.
Absolutely. You know, let me ask you, the book, If Masculinity is Toxic, called Jesus Radioactive, okay, what about the general theme of the book? What do you want the reader to take away when they close the book on the last chapter?
Yeah, so, the takeaway, you're going to be shocked about how bold and fearless Jesus was. Again, he was not a flowery Woodstock-like hippie. And if you've got any kind of, religious idols in your mind that makes him, again, being, like Ryan Seacrest, who tells fables and interesting stories, you're going to be blown away. What I expose in my book. Also, you're gonna see following Christ isn't boring, and it's not for wussies. Most of Christianity is boring, and specifically for wussies. But true adherence to his lead is wild, and it's a scary ride. And the last thing, Zeb, I think we'd kill him all over again. I think he'd be banned on Facebook. I think he'd be canceled if he had a Netflix series. And I think he would be crucified again today because he verbally and publicly destroys liars, governmental and religious control freaks, and the smarmy, politically correct crowds. Truth mattered to him. And again, like I said, if you were on the side of lies, hype, and spin, then you better put on a cup because it's going to get rough because he'll get up in your grill.
You know, I look forward to having you on the program. You tell it like it is. Where can this book be found, Doug? What's the distribution?
Yeah, the easiest place, and you can get a Kindle edition and the paperbacks over at Amazon.com. Click your mouse, melt your plastic, get your father a belated Father's Day gift, and get him the book If Masculinity is Toxic, called Jesus Radioactive. We've got whole churches, Zeb, that are men's groups and Bible studies that are being built around this book. It's hilarious. It's fun, but it's also a definite, serious exposition of the words that came tumbling out of, again, that 30-year-old rebel's mouth. You'll never see Christ like, your whole view of Jesus will be altered after you read this book.
You know, let me ask you one final thought, and very seriously, Doug. When you look at this, and I know you're a student of the Bible, you're a student of Jesus, you're a student of religion, but as far as where we're at in the world today, and especially right here in the United States, with all this insurrection and absolute anarchy, is there an opportunity that we can turn this around, or is this bus going off a cliff?
Yeah, in Matthew chapter 9, verse 35, Jesus saw the multitudes, and they were distressed mess. They were sheep without a shepherd. And most people would think, well, that's the end of the world. And Jesus is like, no, this is big harvest conditions. I think this chaos needs what Christ said his situation needed in Matthew chapter 9. He says, don't pray for the harvest. The harvest is plentiful. The workers, they're few.
Yep.
I think if the church, to me, this is great news because there's a lot of lost people showing how lost they are. I've preached the gospel to more ardent atheists and agnostics and skeptics during the COVID crisis and during these riots that are happening across the nation. I've preached more during that 3-month time period, Zeb, to the unwashed buddies of mine. They're looking for answers, man. They want to know, Doug, what do you think? You're an outspoken Christian. And, bro, we've stayed up till, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning going there with all these kind of questions and topics. Now, they're not apostles or prophets yet, but I'm telling you what, some mega seed was sown. So I'm not a doom and gloomer. I think the church needs to repent. Every time the church is like, well, look at culture, look at politics. Well, it's your fault, numbnuts. The state of the nation is impacted by the holy nation within it. And if we see corruption in culture, if we see corruption in politics, it's because the church is not doing its job, period.
Absolutely.
Judgment begins in the house of God before it hits anybody else. So I think the church needs to, maybe look at themselves a little bit more furtively and ask themselves, have you been on the sidelines of life, picking lint out of your navel and not concerned about preaching the true gospel and reforming culture and purging politics of all of its swamp monsters.
Amen. I've got time for one quick call. I've got a minute left. Caller, real fast. You're on the air. Go.
Yeah, I just want to say I think Jesus is the toughest guy ever lived. I mean, who else would have the strength and endurance to take on the sins of the world?
Amen. Thank you, caller. I appreciate it. Doug, final thought real quick. Thank you.
Yeah, so, again, if you've got, little sacred cows, your little, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, and he just walking around with daisies and, again, wearing a taupe peignoir and some Birkenstocks, this book will light that image that you have, that Satan gave you, straight on fire and burn it to the ground. And it'll leave you wondering, oh, my God, how did I miss this wonderful rebel who upset the masses and led multitudes into a relationship with the Father. He is not what we think he is. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. Doug, always you're welcome. Author of If Masculinity is Toxic, Call Jesus Radioactive, Doug Giles. Thank you, Doug. God bless. Come back soon. Thank you so much.
Yep, stay rowdy, Jeb.
All right, sir. Thank you. Good man. Good book. I'm going to read that and have him back. Doug Giles. And If Masculinity is Toxic, Call Jesus Radioactive. Time for the weather. And the weather brought to you this hour by our friends. And they are the professionals. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The very best of accounting for you. All the accounting services to the Mini-Cash area and beyond for well over 50 years. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this and so much more by the people that really care and can help you, your family, and your business. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It appears that summer finally arrived for this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, mostly sunny skies, a little breeze out of the south-southwest at about 6 miles an hour. We are looking at a high of about 83. Tonight, clear skies, cooling off 53. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 90. Clear and 57 for Tuesday night. By Wednesday, mostly sunny, high of 92. Thursday, slight chance of rain showers in the forecast, partly sunny skies with a high of 83. Then by Friday, sunny skies and 85. That's what your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
Thank you, Gina. And, of course, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they can help folks starting a business or maybe changing over to a corporation, whatever, wanting to hire and expand their business and get more employees. All of this and so much more by the professionals helping you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Offices at 1710 Overland and Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Oh my, we've got time for a call or two. Give me a jingle on the landline. And while I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you, oh boy, they're going to be having a lot of fun at the Rupert 4th of July celebration. And some of the businesses that invite you over for that great big celebration coming up just a matter of a few days. Haskin Insurance Service at 629 Fremont Street in Rupert. Oh my goodness, number to call, 436-4141. They thank all their customers for the business over the 20 years and give them a call. If you're in the market for any of the Haskins Insurance Services, your partner in insurance protection, that's Haskins Insurance in Rupert. Along with Dixon Oil, 602 South 2nd in Rupert. Hello, this is a great family, and they've been in business since 1951. A great service station, gas, oil, propane. Daryl and the crew at Dixon Oil wish you a lot of fun and be safe on Independence Day, July 4th. Be safe and have a great time. Haruza Insurance, 723 South 3rd in Rupert. Don't forget, Haruza Insurance, they can give you your quotes on commercial and business, auto, home, life, and health insurance. You be sure and check it out today. David Haruza and the crew at Haruza Insurance, 723 South 3rd in Rupert. Wishing you a very happy Independence Day, 4th of July. And last but not least, Snyder Surplus Incorporated, 116 South, 200 west of Rupert. Oh, boy. Now, there's a store with everything, let me tell you, from ammo to weapons, mess kits to MREs, boots, you name it, it's there. Desks and chairs. Every day is a treasure hunt at Snyder Surplus, 116 South, 200 west of Rupert. You be sure and stop over and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that little country of Chaz up there in Seattle. And, you know, everybody says, well, just turn off the water, turn off the power until they pay the bill. Well, George Soros will just pitch in the money, so they need to dig their own well. They need to put up their own power plant. They need to put their own septic system, sewer system in. They need to grow their own food. They want to be independent. Let them be independent.
You know, I have a difference of opinion, though, because they've taken over land that is not theirs. They've taken over property and assumed property that is not theirs, that they have no control over. They've hurt people's lives. They've damaged businesses. They've made people that live there in that area absolutely afraid to go out and even walk the dog, like I said earlier this morning. My suggestion is load up the water cannons, get the dogs, and let's move forward and clean them out.
I'm looking forward to the bikers going in and cleaning them out.
I wouldn't mind that. I'm telling you, the longer this goes, the more people are going to be feeling they can do it in L.A., they can do it in Phoenix, they can do it in Salt Lake, they could do it anywhere. It's got to be stopped.
Yeah, there's a bikers club that they're collecting members to go up there on the 4th of July if nothing else is done by then and clean house, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I don't blame you for your thoughts. Enough is way past enough.
Exactly. These are a bunch of participation trophy brats who never had to work for a thing in their life. Mama never grabbed them by the ear, took them to the woodshed.
I couldn't agree more. You're not going to get an argument from me, lady. I'm on your side. Put the uniform on. I'm on your team.
I wasn't planning on it.
Okay. God bless you. Have a good day. Thank you.
God bless you.
Oh, I tell you what, enough is enough. And, they're bleeding heart liberals in the audience. Oh, well, we can't go in and we can't do anything by force. We've got to just try to negotiate. Negotiate with them. That's foolhardy. Don't forget our friends at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley, Curtis and Lorena. And when you go in and make a purchase, they take a percentage of the money and help put it towards your favorite charity. And they're going to do this until about July 15th and then name the top 2 charities that will receive $500 each from Patterson's Electronics. What a nice deal. Stop in and see them today at 421 East Main in Burley. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and they've got all your electronic needs. I mean everything. Home theater systems, TVs, car stereos, surveillance cameras, everything at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Caller, 30 seconds, and I'm going to have to cut you off real fast. Go.
I will. The problem they've got right now in Oregon is squatters have more rights than owners.
Amen. And what happened to lawful ownership?
The criminal has more rights than the victim.
I couldn't agree more. I hate to cut you off because I wanted to go into that further. Thank you, but I appreciate your call. I got to run to CBS. Thank you very, very much. Okay. She's 100% right. Calls are welcome. Next hour, we're going to come back with Attorney James Herson. I'll be back in 7 minutes. Good morning again, and wow, that sums up the day outside. Wow, I love it. Of course, Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, our friends at Greystone Crossing. Now, you say, Greystone Crossing, what's that? Well, we're going to tell you. It is a beautiful, brand spanking new 12-bedroom home for seniors, and they offer 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation. It is beautiful. Right on Alfresco Road, that's 21st Street, just a mile east of Walmart in Heyburn. I urge you to call the number and find out more. 650-4979. That number again. Matt and Kelly Wiggins, 650-4979. Set up an appointment to see this beautiful Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Also, I'd like to remind everybody about 7K Metals. I absolutely believe silver going up in value, and 7K Metals, they can help ship silver right to your home. You can help build yourself a financial security and future. Kind of like creating your own bank, if you will. And it's a great saving opportunity and a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. I urge you to call and find out more from my friends, Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon at 430-3259. Both of those folks can help you. Tell them I told you to call to find out more about silver purchases and 7K Metals. There are many, many individuals I enjoy having on my program because they tell it like it is. And this is one of them coming up next. And he's an attorney and an outspoken political analyst, and I have a lot of respect for him. Good morning, my friend James Herson. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Zeb? Good to be with you.
Well, it's a treat to have you on the air, but I'm going to get right to the seriousness of what we want to talk about this morning. James, you're a Christian. I'm a Christian, and I'm proud of it, and I know you are too. But Christian principles, along with our rules and regulatory means and methods and laws in this country, have been thrown down the drain. Case in point, Seattle and other issues of hotspots around the United States. Anarchy and chaos are reigning supreme. How do we stop this?
Well, you know, while we've been ordered here in California to put on our masks, what's happened is the left has taken off their masks, and now we see them for what they are. They don't believe in freedom. They don't believe in any kind of debate. They believe in destruction, tearing down our past in the form of statues, banning speech because it's politically incorrect. In other words, totalitarian cultural norms. And you're absolutely right to bring up our Judeo-Christian background in this country. The fact that those principles are what made us the greatest experiment in freedom in the history of mankind. And one of the key Christian principles is the idea of the fall of man, the idea that man, because of something that happened in the past, has a tendency towards sinful behavior. That's why we have checks and balances in our system, because no person or no group can be trusted based on human nature, carnal nature, as the Bible calls it. No person can be trusted with amassing that much power. That's why we have principles of limiting power, limiting government. But we now have a group of people that have taken over the Democrat Party who believe in absolute power, which we know corrupts absolutely. If they get in power, they will change this country to a one-party system, and we will drift into a true totalitarian regime. We can see it in the way this group and the blue state officials handle this newfound emergency power in relation to the COVID crisis, which is a whole other conversation. But what we have to do is those Americans that care about any notion of American principles, we have to basically push back and push hard and organize our groups. We have to have the biggest turnout percentage-wise in the history of America. And, you know, for example, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about when I say a one-party system, the Democrats, if they get the power, they will change the filibuster rule, and everything will fly through the Senate, and they will make Washington, D.C. a state and Puerto Rico a state, and that will end the ability of any opposition party to elect a president. They will abolish the Electoral College, which will also do that. All of these things doom the Republican Party, which is the current opposition party, to any national success, as will the continuation of their open borders, abolish ICE, abolish police approaches. So it's in our hands because we do have an election, but we have to have a record turnout because, as has been proven in the state of California, they will cheat. They are encouraging illegal voting in this country, across the country. So we have to have record turnout in order to beat them.
You know, we're on the verge of anarchy, and I want to go back to Seattle just for a little bit. I'm 72 years old. I'm an old man, and never did I think in my lifetime or even think about having a city within a city of anarchists and chaotic movements and shootings and filth and death, and the police would run away and they would hide, they would have their precincts taken over, and a mayor, if you want to call her that, I've got other names, that would stand behind this and say it's a summer block party, and a governor that turns a blind eye and a deaf ear out of stupidity and said he's unaware. My gosh, what are we going to have to do? Have another Boston Tea Party?
Yeah, it's, and you're absolutely right. It is unprecedented in the country. Yeah, what has happened is, and then, you know, we saw it with the COVID situation. No matter how you view the origin of the virus, you have to acknowledge that blue state governors and especially blue mayors have used it politically, and they're setting it up again to have a second wave and a second lockdown because the economy is showing signs of optimism and recovery. In Seattle, it just is another manifestation of the so-called peaceful protesters. The so-called peaceful protesters, again, believing only in destruction, damage, beating innocent people up. And so what happened in Seattle, of course, cordoning off a section of the city in which citizens are being basically held captive, and many are trying to communicate with the outside world. We now have murders, rapes, shakedowns, and the police have reported these thugs are interfering with the police coming in to help victims. They couldn't do a proper investigation 2 nights ago when someone was killed. And the governor pretended like he didn't know. Then he makes statements basically ignoring what is a crisis in the largest city in his state. That is not a governor. That is a political hack who is not doing the jobs for his constituency. And, of course, the citizens of Washington have to work that out. The mayor, a series of horrible mayors in Seattle, have turned what once was a beautiful city into a cesspool. The same as what has happened in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York City, and virtually every large urban area in the United States, all of which are now run by Democrats and run into the ground by Democrats. Some people criticize the president because he has the power, of course, under the Insurrection Act, because this is a clear insurrection, to send in troops if he wishes. But I think he and his team, there's another group of conservatives that have advised him, just leave it alone. It's a stunt in an election year, and let the mayor and governor twist on the vine. I think it's reaching a point where the president may have to act because the lawlessness is going to be replicated. I fully expect a Chaz Chop copycat to come up in Los Angeles where they have a similar weak, feckless mayor in Eric Garcetti. My hope is they take over Hollywood. That would be a dream for me. But they tried it in Nashville, and the police just tore it down. They tried it in North Carolina. They tried it, I believe, in Miami. And so they're already trying to copycat this autonomous zone. But, you know, it's the audaciousness of the way it was described, as you pointed out by the mayor, saying it's a block party, a festival atmosphere, a summer of love. It's a summer of murder, destruction, and shakedowns. And there's been a bit of a lull in the violence because the backlash was a little too powerful for the left. But it's coming back. We know that it's an election year, and all of this stunting paid for by powerful leftist organizations and fronted by organizations that seek the overthrow of the United States, we know it's going to continue.
James, you're so well versed in what's going on, and that's why I wanted you on this program. But I don't care where it is, Ohio, New York, Chicago, L.A., Seattle. Our whole country is starting to resort to taking what's in the cesspool and letting them do what they want against taxpayers and people that just want to make a living, open their business. They want to take their kids to school. They want to go to a park, walk the dog, whatever the case might be. And they're subjected to this violence by the evil left. Look in the case of the Ohio businesswoman that had a bakery, and she was threatened that if she didn't go along and denounce the police, even if she rebuilt her business, Black Lives Matter told her it might happen with vengeance to shut her down again. I mean, this is so evil. Why can't we fight back on this?
Well, you know, right before the George Floyd killing and this whole thing coming up, there were groups of people all over this country who were showing what peaceful protest is like. They were at city halls and state capitals, and what they were protesting was the lockdown. Mm-hmm. And their protests bore fruit because some of the blue state governors backed off and allowed the economy to reopen to a point where we saw, you know, job growth, stock market increases, and so there is I would call it a healthy, rebellious spirit in the vast majority of Americans, people who pay attention, and it is a majority. This violent set of thugs are a rent-a-mob, and they are a tiny minority posing as if they're a majority. They have successfully used technology and the Internet to intimidate corporate institutions. But Americans are not fooled. A good example is, in my state of California, our feckless governor, Governor Newsom, Nancy Pelosi's nephew, came out with this late date with a draconian mask order, and one by one, the counties outside of Los Angeles and San Francisco, their governments, their sheriffs, told the governor to pound sand. They will not enforce his order. People are putting out social media messages. They will not accept a second lockdown. Our president president says he will not accept a second lockdown. There is a form, and now we have to basically borrow the term from the left. There is a resistance in this country, and it's very obvious. We have never had a country that condoned criminals and let criminals victimize innocent Americans. That's what we have seen on our TVs. It infuriates us. And so the ways that we will respond is we will use our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our businesses, and we will vote in November and bring every family member and friend along. And if we have to vote by mail, we're going to do it. And if we have to ballot harvest, we're going to ballot harvest with the best of them, because we have to survive in this country. Because what this group that has taken over the Democrats portends is they've shown us the picture of America is Jazz Chop. Nobody wants that for America. It's a banana republic. It's moral anarchy. It's criminal justice anarchy. It is not a Western country that we recognize, and it is certainly not the greatest Western country, the United States of America. And George Orwell warned us in his book 1984, which used to be required reading, about thought police and erasing history. And that's what we are seeing. We are seeing people who want to implement proper thinking. That's why they banned Gone with the Wind. That's why they've banned much of our literature. That's why they're now tearing down statues of Thomas Jefferson and the father of our country, George Washington. And this is not something that I believe that it's going to backfire on them. I believe in my heart that Donald Trump will be reelected, and I'm hoping that some of these local Democrats get voted out in this election. You remember, it was in the early 90s, New York City, which was predominantly Democrat, was infested with anarchy and crime. And they elected a Republican, Rudy Giuliani. And that's what I believe America is ready for. They showed it in the 25th District of California when they elected a Republican in Los Angeles. And so I think these are the kinds of forces that are in play right now. But we have to steel ourselves. There's more coming.
Real quick, though, and I've only got 3 minutes left, James. I wished I had an hour and 3 minutes left to talk to you because I respect your opinion so much. But tell me if I'm wrong. I am so concerned about the fraudulent activities that are in the works right now to destroy and create havoc with our election in November. I think there's so many insidious forces with social media, etc., and there's so many ways to dummy up, if you will, the election in favor of what you want it to be. What are your thoughts?
Those are tremendous threats. Isn't it ironic? The same people who we heard basically screaming about our democracy, and they claim the Russians were interfering. And these people want to use a pandemic to bring in a national cheat scheme. Because we all know that the reason that they, Hollywood, the media, the Democrat Party, the politicians are pushing this mail-in voting, it is a license to cheat. It is the biggest license to cheat. And we've seen what led up to it. In the major blue states in this country, they've enacted what are called motor voter bills. Those are bills that facilitate registration of people that are in this country illegally by tying their driver's license to voter registration. And they've done this in California for years so that ballots are automatically, and ballot material are automatically then sent to people that are in this country illegally. That is a formula for a guaranteed Democrat victory, which is exactly why the Democratic Party does not believe in the sanctity of a nation and having a border and having an orderly immigration process that vets people who have diseases, who vets people who are criminals, it vets people who are potential terrorists. That has been taken away by various Democrat laws, judicial decisions. It's funny because the president called the media the enemy of the state, and that is true, but it's only part of the equation. The media acts on behalf of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party has become the enemy of America.
Absolutely.
And that's because the Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez wing has taken over the party. And we saw that in the presidential debates by the absolute lunacy of their policies. How in America anyone can be discussing defunding the police as Americans watch criminals victimize innocent Americans on their television in urban areas across this nation. That is, from a Christian point of view, that is very end-timey. And, of course, the other thing from a Christian point of view, we all have the power that they've tried to take away from us by locking down the churches. We have the power of worship and prayer. We have the power of revival. And America needs that more than ever in her history.
Amen. Amen. James, you're the best. Attorney James Herson, political analyst and really a straight shooter. And please know I'm going to be calling you to come back soon. We've got a lot of other things that need discussing. God bless you, man. Thank you for taking the time to come on this morning.
God bless you, Zeb. You have a beautiful week.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Really enjoy having this man on, James Herson. He is a straight shooter, and that's what we need a lot more of in this day and age. Believe me. Thank you, James Herson. Wow. Let's see what I've got to do here right now. Oh, the Rupert 4th of July festivities. I got to tell you about everything that's going on during Rupert's 4th of July celebration, and it's going to be all the way from June 30th all the way through the 4th of July. Tuesday the 30th at 6 in the morning on the Rupert Square. Don't forget the Christmas lighting breakfast. It's going to be delicious and a lot of fun. And then fireworks that night at 7:30 p.m. And then, of course, don't forget on Wednesday, July 1st, don't forget the patriotic programs. Thursday, of course, the mutton busting competition at the fairgrounds. Friday, the Firecracker 500 lawnmower race. I wished I was a part of that. And Saturday, July 4th, don't forget the world-famous parade right there as part of the Rupert 4th of July celebration for 2020 with the Grand Marshals, Charlie and Lori Creason. Going to be a lot of fun. Don't miss it over in Rupert for the 4th of July. Want to remind you, too, before I go too much further, and I can't go too much further because I'm almost out of time, about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Don't forget, they just had a really big Father's Day sale, and I'm sure a lot of the great buys are continuing for you. You know they've got the greatest selection of recliners. You know they've got a fantastic selection of all the different mattresses for your sleep comfort. You know they've got the greatest selection of all the furniture, the sofas, love seats, everything, living room sets. It's all there for you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland and Burley. They're waiting right now this minute, Jeff and the crew, to serve you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Right now, we'll send it back over to our main studio. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, quickly, before we go to Vicky's Country Gardens, I want to remind you again about Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. This business is for sale. Yes, the whole business, lock, stock, and equipment, everything. Beautiful shop. It's a turnkey business business opportunity ready for you, and the owner will help finance, and Doug will also train the buyer of the business. I tell you what, it's all there. It's all there for you. What a great opportunity. Number to call, 878-4991. That number again, 878-4991. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. It's for sale, and it may be for you. You better call them today. Well, right now, on Mondays, my goodness sakes, we're going to kind of settle back in the chair for a few minutes, and we're going to talk to a lovely lady that knows all about gardening and how the plant should be growing and about water and fertilizer and everything else. Hello, Vicki at Vicki's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. How are you?
Oh, I'm just great this morning, Zeb. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. What can we say?
I tell you what, after last week, it just was indicative and showed me that at a drop of a hat, we can go 35, 40-degree temperature changes, and then the day after that, be standing around outside in a T-shirt. Holy smokes, that's got to be hard on the plants.
Well, it is, and they just kind of settle in. They don't do a lot of growing. They don't have enough warm time to really grow. They have too much cold time, and they kind of stay a little bit on the slow side, a little on the dormant side. But now we've got some really good temperatures coming up. Nothing too terribly hot. We're not looking at 100-degree temperatures. The 80s are a real good growing temperature for all the plants, the tomatoes, anything that's coming up in the garden. So everything should just really take off. You'll see a pretty good spike in growth on gardens right now.
I had a quick little note sent to me, I think it was last week on Thursday, excuse me, and the writer of the note said, when you have Vicki on the air next Monday, would you ask her a question from someone that really does not understand gardening? She said, I'm synopsizing everything, she said her husband and her have tried their first garden this year, but they said, we don't know when things are ripe enough or ready to pluck or take in the house and eat. How do we know?
Well, kind of depends on what crops they're growing. Of course, tomatoes, you're going to watch those for, the color, the size, that type of thing, and the firmness. You can pick those. Cucumbers can be picked pretty much at any size, and, once they get to coming on, anywhere's from 4 or 5 inches on, to the 8 inches or whatever the cucumber is that you've got planted. Radishes and that, if you've got seeds coming up, you can usually tell by the tops. You can look down and see the crown of the radish in the dirt, and at that point in time, they don't have to get great big. Start checking them when you start seeing the red crown coming up on the dirt. And that'll tell you when, you can start testing your radishes at that point in time. Carrots, it's a little early, but again, follow that foliage down to the crown of that carrot. And once you see the size of that carrot about an inch, somewhere around about 3/4 of an inch or an inch in diameter, then they're ready to start using too.
Vicki, one time on this program, and I can't remember the exact conversation we had, but didn't you tell me that you can harvest your radishes and then replant, and the season's long enough to have another supply?
Oh, you can replant radishes all the way along. They come up in about 5 days. 5 to 6 days. Plant small amounts of them when it gets hot because they grow fast and they will go to seed on you, and then the radish isn't any good. But if you plant small amounts of them and keep them nice and damp, they will grow, and you can utilize radishes pretty much all summer long.
Okay, now
You don't want to plant a big bunch of them because you never eat that many of them, and so they have a tendency to go to waste on you. So just when the one bunch is up and about ready to eat, plant another little 2-foot section, and then just keep rotating back and forth all summer long and keep them nice and damp, and they'll do fine.
Okay, now I could guess I could lump all this together and say bugs, varmints, pests, and dogs and kitty cats out of the garden. They're wrecking everything, according to one writer that wanted some answers. He said, I've got a 410 and I'm about ready to use it.
Boy, I tell you, this has been a tough year for birds. Birds have been our culprit this year, taking seeds, pulling plants, stripping leaves off of plants. I don't know when I've had as many complaints on birds, but we have had a major infestation of birds also. I mean, we've got everything from crows to magpies to starlings to sparrows to them doves, and the robins are bad, and they love to get in and pick at leaves. They're also building nests right now, a lot of your, like starlings and sparrows and that, and those nice green leaves work in real nice to build little homes. So that's why they're kind of pulling those out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have had a lot of problems. And to be honest, you either have to buy those little spinny things that the kids have that you can get like at Walmart or some of those places that, you know, the little wind wheels.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say those will help with birds until they find out they're not going to hurt them, but keep moving them around, and that kind of keeps them out of your garden, too. But a good shotgun blast once in a while, if you're not in town, will definitely scare them off.
Well, let me ask you this.
Dogs and cats, too.
Yeah, let me ask you this question. I read someplace that there is screening or some kind of like chicken mesh wire that it's a little expensive and time-consuming to put up over your crops. Would that work?
Yes, you can. You can build little cages with like chicken wire, you know, or like a window screening type situation that lets the light through, lets the water and the air through, but keeps the birds and the dogs and the cats from from running into them. Doesn't help with the voles and that because they come in under. So consequently, that doesn't always help with that. But it does keep birds and stuff out of your garden and keeps them from picking at the fruit and that, like the smaller garden things. I mean, they've even been pulling up entire plants.
Oh, my.
It also keeps squirrels out of your garden. If you've got a squirrel problem, putting the netting over them keeps the squirrels from getting in and digging and destroying your gardens also.
Let me ask you this then on my point. What about all the rodents and everything? If they are in your garden and they have been chewing and gnawing on things, what about the safety aspects of the transference of what they might have chewed on or something for a human to eat?
Well, you always, anytime you're taking anything out of the garden, you want to wash it really good. And a lot of people use a peroxide wash to really clean their vegetables and their fruits and things like that from any bacteria, like a 5% just hydrogen peroxide in water. Works really good to rinse your vegetables and clean them with. It takes care of any kind of neutralizes, gets rid of bacteria and anything like that E. coli, that kind of stuff that could be left on the vegetables and that kind of stuff.
Okay. And I had another email regarding bugs. This lady, I'm assuming it's a lady, she said, bugs everywhere, bugs. I've never seen so many bugs.
Well, we had a really mild winter, and so nothing actually got really killed. We've been hit real hard with ants. Ants are a real problem this year in gardens and things. They just like to eat everything. So you need to keep some dust going in your gardens to keep the ants down. Earwigs have been a problem because of the wet, damp spring that we've had. And slugs should start to go away now, more or less, and stay in the shadier parts because of the temperature of the hot and the dry air. The dry air, just they don't do well, at all.
Right.
In the heat.
Right.
So, like I say, it has been a bug thing. Aphids have been terribly thick this year, so you need to get your sprays. You need to check your plants at least every other day to look on the back side of your leaves on your plants and see if you've got little green creepy crawlers. You've got to keep your sprays going, but you have to check your plants because if they get the damage done, it's hard to bring them back sometimes.
One final thought.
That's out are the tomato hornworms. They're out in flowers. They're going to be hitting cabbages and all that. So get the dust going on your cabbages, or otherwise they're going to eat your cabbages.
Okay. One final thought, Vicki, and then I've got to get on with the rest of the program. But I every week am getting some kind of a call or question about, again, synopsizing what they said. Hey, we noticed some brown spots in a circular motion on our lawn. What does that mean when all of a sudden we're seeing brown spots?
A lot of times that can be sod webworm that's coming up and chewing on roots on the lawn in those small spots. And so you need to, there's a chemical called Above and Below that you can put on your lawn, and you put it on, they recommend May and July. So now it's getting close to July, so if you've got those showing up, they will just keep eating all summer long, and they can do some real damage. So get the chemical down and kind of get them stopped, because it, as a rule, it's the sod webworm that's doing the damage.
Okay, and you have that all available over there at Vicky's Country Garden.
Yeah, it's a granule. You just put it on your lawn. It takes care of the, the roly-polies in the lawn. It takes care of the earwigs. It takes care of any kind of bugs that are above. And it goes deep enough into the soil to get the sod web and the grub also.
Okay. Well, it's time for the Vicky's Country Garden Tip of the Week.
Okay, my tip is, if you've got fruit trees and you haven't been spraying for bugs, you need to get started. You've got to get a regiment going on spraying for worms and that in your apples and that. Dormant oil is fine in the spring, but it is not a one-time fix. It only takes care of things in the spring. So get back and forth between a couple of chemicals. Start spraying about every 10 days to 2 weeks to keep your fruit to where you can use it, unless you like eating worms. If you want the extra protein, then I guess let them have it.
Well, thanks for spoiling my lunch. Appreciate that. Hey, listen, what are the hours of Vicky's Country Garden?
Well, we are open 9 to 5:30 Monday through Friday. Saturdays it's 10 to 5, and we are now closed on Sundays. We're going to have a little time for ourselves on Sunday now. So, but we are here on Saturday from 10 to 5.
All right. Well, we're going to send everybody. Nobody knows as much about gardening as this lovely lady. Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South 600 West of Paul. Number to call 438-5663. God bless you, Vicky. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, you have a good day, Zeb.
All right. Thank you much. What a lady. I just really enjoy having her on the program. She knows, and she's going to tell it like it is, and I respect that. Oh, I know what else. We've got to get the weather on here, and the weather brought to you by our friends at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. You better believe it. Go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Check out all the delicious meats. Holy smokes, they've got a bunch. That means a lot. Pork, hams, bacon, all different flavors, all the pork chops, the tri-tips, oh my goodness, the bratwurst. You'd better be prepared. People stopping by, going to have a family picnic, whatever. Get a hold of Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It appears that summer finally arrived for this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, mostly sunny skies, a little breeze out of the south-southwest at about 6 miles an hour. We are looking at a high of about 83. Tonight, clear skies, cooling off 53. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 90. Clear and 57 for Tuesday night. By Wednesday, mostly sunny, high of 92. Thursday, slight chance of rain showers in the forecast, partly sunny skies with a high of 83. Then by Friday, sunny skies and 85. That's what your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow, what a forecast. Thank you very much, Gina. Excellent job. And the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Don and the crew, man, I'll tell you what, they have the most of the best meats for you. I guarantee you, all you need to do, if you're not sure what you need or what you want, call them first. 331 North Road, Jerome, and their telephone number 324-7657. It's true. Scarrows Meats, delicious meats, changing the way we eat one bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go via the telephone line right over to Minidoka Animal Control for Dog Days. And with us is Deb Hines. Deb, good morning to you on a beautiful, beautiful June day.
And good morning to you, sir.
Zeb.
Oh.
Yeah, it's nice out there. It's kind of scary.
You know what? I'm just waiting for the other hammer to drop. I mean, we get a nice day, and then all of a sudden it drops 40 degrees, and we're wearing a Carhartt again.
I know, yeah. We go, yeah. Our summer's about over. We've had a couple weeks of it.
You're right. Okay, now, I've had some calls, and some people have said, thank you for putting those puppy dogs on the air every Monday with Deb. How's it going? Are we finding new homes for people, or for dogs to accept some of the people, the human beings?
Yep, we are. Unfortunately, I'm also getting a truckload in.
Oh, my. You mean...
let's see.
You're getting...
I've got 10 pups in here.
Oh, my.
New ones. I've got 25 total, but I got new ones.
Oh, my.
Last week.
Well, let's highlight whatever you need to highlight this morning. You're on the stage. You tell us what you want the public to know about.
Okay. In the puppy department, I have... I just got in some cute little pups. We think they're... oh, gosh. I'm trying to think which ones. Anyway, I think they are... I know they're Chihuahua, but I think they've got a little bit, maybe, terrier or something in them.
Okay.
Anyway, they're going to be small dogs.
Uh-huh.
I've got 4 of them. I've got 5 Husky crosses.
Ooh.
I've got 2 Pit Bull crosses. And I've got 5 Border Collie pit crosses.
Oh, my.
And 2 just pit crosses.
Oh, my goodness. How come all of a sudden...
That's not all of them. That's just the ones I've got at the shelter. That's not the ones I've got out.
Oh. Deb, how come so many puppies all of a sudden being turned over to animal control? Yeah, any reason?
I don't know, Zeb. This is absolutely, in the last 2 years, I've taken in more pups than we've taken in the 8 years I've been doing this.
Oh, my goodness. Now, are these puppies just left to be abandoned out in fields or driveways or on your doorstep, or give us kind of the scenario?
Well, a lot of them are just dumped. I get them in the drop box, or somebody brings them, calls me and says somebody dumped a bunch of puppies in my yard. The little guys that I got Saturday came in with their mama. I don't know why he got rid of everything, but he did, so...
Oh, to me, now I'm going to show a little emotion here, because this is sad to me that people don't care enough about spaying or neutering their dogs so that they have the unwanted pups, and then all of a sudden they're left in a basket or on a sheet or whatever and taken to you or left out in a field. Nobody seems to care. That really bothers me.
Exactly. Well, and the sad part is, like I said, we are partnered up with an excellent rescue, and they are helping us with our spay and neuters. And these people, if they will just come in and fill out some paperwork, take them 5 seconds, we can help get all these animals fixed, and we won't have this problem.
So you said basically the puppies that you have, and I want to be clear on this, you've got some that look like they're going to be really small dogs, like a Chihuahua cross, and then you had some that...
Those are going to be small. These other guys, not so much.
Okay. But boy, the Husky cross, now that is a beautiful, beautiful dog. I mean, those are really going to turn into some good-looking animals.
Yeah, they are. Their mother is a beautiful gray and white.
Oh, my.
I've seen the mom. I've got some of these little guys out here have got some red highlights in them, so they're going to be very pretty.
Are the requirements of ownership the same when they work with puppies instead of the larger dogs? I mean, how do you find the owners or the potential owners for the puppies? Are the same rules and regulatory means in effect?
Yeah, we post them on our Facebook page, and again, I wait 5 days on the pups when they've been dropped. The ones that are owner surrendered, like the little guys, I just put them up for adoption immediately so I can get them out of here.
Okay.
We vaccinate, we do all that stuff. I do all their puppy shots. It's included in their adoption, but I don't want them in here. This is not a healthy place for them.
Okay. Now, are there any other dogs? We got about 2 minutes left. Are there any other dogs you want to feature this week? Perhaps an older dog that needs to find a home.
Yeah, I've got a 1.5-year-old purebred Siberian Husky.
Oh, boy.
He is white with red markings, and he's got the most beautiful blue eyes in the world. He's already house-trained. He's leash-trained. He's good with other dogs. He's good with cats. In other words, he's not a typical Husky, but he is beautiful.
Oh, my.
And he is a sweetheart.
What do you call him?
His name is Lobo.
Lobo. I like that. And you say he's 1.5 years old, right?
Yeah.
Now, a dog like...
He is a purebred.
Purebred...
You know, I don't take papers because, to me, it's not going to do me any good to have papers because
Sure.
we're not going to breed him. But, yeah, he is a purebred.
Okay.
And he is gorgeous.
And is he really... how is he around little children, perhaps?
Well, if you don't mind giving your kid a bath about every 5 seconds because he's licking them to death, he's great.
Oh, and let's talk a little bit about the number to come over and see all these puppies, and especially this dog called Lobo. That sounds like a beautiful dog. What do they do? How do they get a hold of you?
They can call us at 208-438-2200. We'll schedule them an appointment, and when they come in, we'll bring the dog over, and they can take it out and play with it in the front yard.
You know, I think that it would behoove a lot of people that are maybe looking for a puppy. This is a great opportunity. You've got some puppies of various breeds, and then you've got this beautiful dog, Lobo. I urge everybody to get a hold of Deb and the folks over at Minidoka Animal Control. And, boy, I tell you what, summertime, out on the lawn, playing with a dog, that's a lot of fun. Deb, anything else you want to hit us with this morning? Go ahead.
Nope, that is just it. Please come pick a dog and see one. I promise I got just about anything you want.
All right. Deb Hines, thank you so much for being on the program. Have a great week.
And you too, Zeb, and you have a great week
All right. Well. Thank you much. She is committed to taking care of those dogs, but they need homes. And, boy, I tell you, the little puppy, I mean, my heart goes out to little puppies and everything. And they've got all different kinds of puppies over there. So stop over, give them a call. And then that Lobo, boy, that sounds like a beautiful dog. All of this at Minidoka Animal Control. Deb Hines, you get a hold of her today. Wow, let's see, what else have I got cooking here that I got to get on the air? I think we're pretty much caught up, except that I want to tell you who's going to be on the program tomorrow. We're going to have the first hour open forum, and then we're going to have at 9:06 American Energy Alliance, Dan Kish. And then a guy that writes books about men becoming men and really being men in our society, Armin Brott's going to be on the air, followed by Dr. History, and then one of my very favorite guests. He goes into the top 10 status, and that's economist Dr. Michael Bustler is going to tell us where we're at, where we're headed, and what the left is trying to do to disrupt again our economy. All of that's coming up tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. We always wrap the program up by saying, you know, the slogan, the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most to me are in God we trust. We certainly hope you'll tune in. Don't forget KBAR 1230 AM, and then streaming live on the internet all over the world, ZebBell.com. And we urge you to be back here again tomorrow morning at 8:06. Sean, great job. Appreciate you. And enjoy just a beautiful day. Get outside, take a glass of lemonade out in the shade, and just sit back and go, God is great. Thank you much. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.